I was born a 7th generation Texan and a Jew, so I grew up eating burgers and barbecue and bagels and blintzes. And I had, a typical childhood. I played sports, I had friends. At the same time, I was diagnosed with ADHD and I was put on Ritalin. And in high school, Ritalin became Adderall, and I became an addict like that. It made me the life of the party. I had boundless energy. This pill was magic for me, and it worked. But in college, things took a turn because I developed a tolerance to this drug, and I developed an addiction to fast food. Now when I say that, I would get up in the morning and I would eat 4 breakfast tacos. Then I would go to McDonald's for lunch and get 2 supersized double quarter pounder meals. Then for my second lunch, I'd go to Whataburger and get their extra large honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich meal. Then for dinner, an extra large pizza from Papa John's with chicken strips. Then at about 3 in the morning, I would go back to Whataburger for 4 of their breakfast on a bun sandwiches with sausage. I would drink about 15 sodas a day. And as a drug addict, the average prescription dosage for Adderall is about 20 to 30 milligrams per day. For the last 5 years or so of my addiction, I was doing 450 milligrams in a 24-hour period. I had been battling suicidal depression for probably 6 months to a year at this point. I have a twin brother who I'm incredibly close with. And during my deepest depression, I can remember telling him that I promise, no matter how bad things will get, I'll never attempt suicide. I'll never commit suicide because I know that I couldn't live without him, and I can only imagine that he would probably not be able to live without me. But that night, things got so bad that I just grabbed a handful of pills on the table and I attempted suicide by overdose. I remember throwing up and passing out on the floor. And I woke up in a puddle of my own vomit, in a pile of fast food garbage, surrounded by empty pill bottles, surrounded by trash. And I had this real surreal realization that my life was going to be my family, my mom and my dad and my twin brother having to spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out why I needed to eat and drug myself to death. And I decided I wasn't going to let that happen. And I picked up the phone and I called my dad and I asked for help. And 2 weeks later, I checked into rehab. And when I was in rehab, within the first 48 hours, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, erectile dysfunction, bipolar disorder, suicidal depression, anxiety disorder, sleep disorder, and attention deficit disorder. I was put on a cabinet of medications. The reason I was hearing all this from this doctor was because of the decisions I'd made, of what I chose to put on my plate. I also realized that because it was my fault, I was the solution. All I had to do was change what I put on my plate and my life would get better. And that's what I was dedicated to doing. I knew that if I got sober, I would still be dead in probably 5 years from the chronic disease I was suffering from. So that wouldn't be enough just to get sober. I had to completely transform my life. When I left rehab, it was recommended that I move into a sober living facility. And I checked into sober living, and while I was there, I decided I was going to transition to a plant-based vegan diet. This wasn't easy. I was crying a lot. I'm a 7th generation Texan, and it was football season. This is not when I wanted to be adopting a plant-based diet, but I know that I needed to. Well, within 6 months, my diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol were completely gone. I can remember being in my doctor's office and him saying, "You don't have type 2 diabetes anymore." And I walked out of that office feeling something that I hadn't felt in years, self-worth. And self-worth made me feel like I was worth saving. In about 10 months, I had lost over 100 pounds, and within a year, I was off of every single medication I was put on in rehab, including the antidepressants, the mood stabilizers, the sleeping medications, the anxiety medications, and the ADHD medications. There's a quote that says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act but a habit." If I get up every single day and I eat a plant-based diet that is about health and wellness, if I get up every single day and I'm committed to my sobriety and recovery, and if I can get up every single day and be of service to one other person, then at the end of that day, I am a happy, healthy, sober person who is of service to other people, and that is what I want to do with my life. To know that at the end of the day, I can be healthy, happy, and kind, all by the decisions of what I choose to put on my plate, has been the most impactful thing I've ever done in my life. I love the person that I am today. I've never been happier or healthier to get up every single morning and experience life. So that's my story, and thank you for letting me share it with you.